Alrighty, ready. Hey, feeling good and excited to be back. So, I thought before we get too far in, um, I guess, this whole process, this podcast, I got to talk about the big one, the trifecta of universal harmony, baby. I mean, this is the thing that gets you aligned and helps you make sense of yourself every step you take, being where your feet are, looking forward, um, and just making sense of things, right? So I want to talk about the trifecta. That little by little, it was interesting how it kind of evolved in my life. And then as it started making sense, I found that I just started incorporating it into my teaching, something that I do, something that I do. I'm not going to obviously teach something that doesn't make sense to me, that I don't understand, whether that's, grammar or just life, writing, etc. So I want to talk about the trifecta of attitude, perspective, and purpose. They really don't evolve or come in any particular order. They revolve. They involve each other and intertwine themselves in such a way that when you get these three components aligned, and I think by saying when you get them aligned, it implies you're aware of the process of each element, what you're doing with each one, and literally putting them together, aligning them. When you do that, absolutely amazing things happen. So let's talk about each one, and my brain will just take off in its tangential world as it usually does, and hopefully we'll bring it full circle, hence the Sperling circle. Um, so let's start with attitude. Attitude is how you're feeling in a given moment. It's your emotional state in a given moment. Sometimes it doesn't quite feel controllable, right? It's something terrible has happened to you, something wonderful has happened to you. You wake up and you're just you choose you choose war, you choose battle, you choose let's take on the world. It just happens. Sometimes it's hormonal, physiological. Sometimes you just haven't had enough to drink. You're dehydrated. Food is an element to all of this. So attitude, it's your emotional state, but it's precarious in its longevity. It implies it's a temporal state. It's not going to last forever. It's going to last for an hour, a day, a few minutes, a class period. So there is a kind of a start and be an end. And what's interesting is obviously related to the external, I would say, kind of variables, things that people say to us, things that happen to us, things that people do to us. Um, Obviously, that's going to adjust our emotional state, right? How we choose to react or respond, and that dynamic is another episode that I'll talk about later, emphasizing response over reaction. But sticking with attitude, so it's how you feel. It's how you're feeling right now. Yeah, I'm pretty chill. I'm upbeat. I'm optimistic. I'm feeling good. I'm nervous about the exam coming up. I've got a speech. It's just ripping me apart with my nerves. Whatever your scenario, right? You have an emotional response to that. Now, that attitude, and I think that the word attitude, while it's pretty neutral in its connotation, gets kind of a negative connotation attached to it. It's I often hear it like that parental voice. I don't like your attitude. And it just means I don't like the sass, I don't like the emotional state where you're coming from, braggart, pissy, just, you know, cantankerous, grouchy, what have you. But attitude is a neutral concept just describing, yeah, I'm feeling something beyond just neutral. Although I think neutral can be an attitude as well. I'm just chilling. So, based on your emotion, and I'm not going to get into the science of it because I don't know the science of it. I just know how it makes sense to me in my life, to my brain, to my perspective. How you feel in the moment is going to affect your perspective, what you choose to look for and find. It is, and that's what I mean when we get to the alignment of these elements. When you are in control of this trifecta, right? You're aware of your emotional state and you're like, okay, I'm good with this. Like I wanna build on this, or this is not working for me. This is not healthy. This is not helping me. I have a big speech. I'm getting panic attacks. I'm getting all worked up. I'm in my head, overthinking things. I'm blacking out. I'm not able to access the words of my speech. You're just talking about energy, but you've now defined it in such a way that now your perspective, the way you look for and find things in the world, you're gonna find it. You're gonna make that happen. It's almost like manifesting, where based on your emotional state, you are now looking to reinforce, almost to validate that emotion. Right? Your mind's like, "Okay, that's what you wanna look for? That's what you want? That's cool. We'll go do that." You're in a terrible mood? Yeah, it's a really crappy day out, and it looks cold, and Jesus, look how that person drives. I swear to God, like, get off the road, and oh, man, did I put on deodorant? Like, just oh, Jesus, look at you. Who do you think you are? It's that energy, right? And so because I'm feeling it, I'm subconsciously telling my eyes, my brain, "Yo, like, dial in and find anything and look to the dark side of that object, of that situation. Find the negativity in it because I guess we're in a pissy mood, we're in a negative mood, so let's make that happen." And so that then leads to your purpose, right? Because of your emotional state and what you chose, I guess, didn't choose to look at it, but subconsciously told your brain to find, to look for and find. You're like, "Yeah, I had a crappy day." And you can go the entire day with that energy, or you can do this. And this is what I mean. This is the alignment. Because when it's subconscious, it just seems to happen. And we play this, oh, I don't know why this stuff always happens to me. It's this victimization, right? Like, snap out of it. Like you're sitting in a wet pool of mud, and you're gonna sit there and complain about it. It makes no sense to me. Like, if you're choosing to sit there and you don't wanna be grouchy and depressed and sad about it, then get up. Get up. It like, wash yourself off. But y you can't do the action and complain that you're doing the action. You know what I'm saying? At that point, it's like, what's wrong with you? So recognize, wow, and let's put it in the frame of mind of like a speech. I get terrified when I pause at that word, terrified. I used to get terrified when I had to give a speech, and anxiety would just, blind me. It would be that huge imperial wall that made it inaccessible to get the words, to get my heartbeat down, to get my breathing normal. You could hear me breathing, and this anxiety just all but would freeze me. So yeah, it was somewhat terrifying. And as I matured, as I realized and learned a lot of things about this concept, I it was one woman in particular, I don't recall her name, and she said she still gets nervous, and she was like, she's some blockbuster, speaker. I'm like, How do you do that then? Like, how do you?" It's one of my fascinations with actors, like on stage. Like, how do you not get nervous? Like, or dancers, like performers. How do you not trip up? How do you not just implode and melt in this goo of embarrassment on stage with all the lights on you, by the way? And what I hear more often than not is they might be nervous, but they're more excited. And that's what this woman said. She said, you know, it's just energy. And based on what you want to call it, your brain is going to react to it. It's going to look to make that stuff happen. And and I'm adding to that, and that becomes therefore your purpose, right? So that's your goal. You want to have a crappy time and freeze up and forget all your words and melt in this goop of embarrassment under the, spotlight. Great job. That this is how you're gonna do it. You're gonna freak out. We're gonna call it freaking out. We're gonna call it fear. We're gonna call it anxiety. The heart palpitations, we're gonna just assume we're gonna have a heart attack. Geez, I'm really, really excited for you to go out and just implode. It's by entitling it these negative terms, basically we're giving permission, we're giving directions to our brain, yo, make this happen for me, please. What I'm saying is, in this particular scenario, and plug in the blank with whatever you know negativity, internal conflict you're experiencing, redefine it. Instead of "I'm nervous to go out there," is "I'm excited to go out there. I have great stuff that I want to share." How many? 4,000 people? Hell yeah! Like I am excited to share with them my thoughts, my feelings, this speech that I've really worked hard on. Like, announce me. Like, let's get going. What we've done is channeled that same energy, but instead of going this way to nerve world of implosion and breakdown and mental paralysis, we're going this way to excitement, enlightenment, uh, like like joy, right? And I'm pumped when I give speeches at this point. I laugh at myself because, oh God, I mean, just the idea of getting up in front of the class or even speaking to teachers, I still get nervous. It's weird. I can dance, sing, make animal noises to my students, like on a whim. And they're kind of used to it at this point. Like, yeah, it's crazy Sperling. But do it in front of like my peers. I'm still working on that. But here's a catch to that. Uh, I've given now 2 baccalaureate speeches. I've given several speeches over my career, and quite a few actually. And at this point, I love it. I love it. Like it's this trick, right? Of from nerves to excitement gets me really pumped, gets me really excited. It helps fuel when I write my speech, compose it, revise it, I practice it, so it's quite familiar. I don't have that brain where I can memorize, a minute or 2 or 3 or 4 of even my own words. I'm just not there. Um, but, you can read the beginning of the line and then boom, up you go because your brain knows the rest of that line, that idea, that feeling associated with it. That's exciting, man. And then You talk about validation, the purpose gets realized, right? So I've put myself reframed my energy, my emotional state by entitling it something positive. I work on it, and it's just not by magic that these things happen. Takes work, preparation, planning, really mentally, playing it out, rehearsing, just the finessing of a speech is something that I love to do. Um, where everything is so intentional, each word, each frame or each line with its meter, the counted number of syllables. Sometimes I put internal rhyme. I juxtapose concepts. I play with alliteration. Think of like it's the repetition of consonant sound at a series at a uh, repetition of consonant sounds uh, over a series of words. So tongue twisters are typically um, alliteration. The ear enjoys that, right? It's why we have it in marketing. It's why we have it in advertising. It's why we have it in music, right? It's why we have it in poetry. I love incorporating that with the intention of really connecting with my audience, right? That resonance, that harmony where I want them to laugh at this. And then I want them to pause and think about that. And then I want to shift and I want them to get kind of deep. I want them to cry, right? I want to affect my audience. I want to connect with my audience through my words and the emotion that is driving those words, the sound, right? Putting the humanity behind the speech. That is exciting, man. So I've shifted my emotional state. I'm now looking for that. I'm looking for it in my audience. I'm looking for it in myself. I'm looking at it in the vibration of the energy between me and individuals when I make eye contact, when I look up, when I look at specific people. Um, and that leads us to the purpose, right? What's the ultimate goal? To to connect, to to share something that I feel is really important, to enlighten, to share, to plus one, right? We came into the auditorium kind of maybe with no expectation, or whatever the venue, and there's a bit of a surprise, there's a growth, there's a, "Huh, I didn't think of something like that. I didn't think about it like that. I didn't think about that at all." Being able to give to the audience and receive that energy, be it, applause, standing ovations, seeing people really just kind of, getting touched by your words. God, what a beautiful experience of humanity, right? So that's just one example in which the attitude affects your perspective and directly leads you to your purpose. I often give reading quizzes to my kids. I call them DYR because they go in the grade book, which is accessible to all the parents. And it's short for Did You Read? And the idea is, if you got a low score, then the answer is no. No, you did not read. Because these are level one questions like, what was the girl's name? Or where did she live? Um, what was her profession? Like, did you frickin' read or not? It's just 5 questions, 7 questions. Maybe number 6, number 7, I start leading into what we call level 2 questions. That's you making inferences. So based on what you read, what do you think? And you can think whatever you want, right? And this was one of the coolest things that my ninth or 10th grade high school teacher, Mrs. Clayton, the only teacher whose name I remember today, the only thing that well, the best thing that I recall from her class was 2 things, but one was this. She said, "You can say whatever you want about what you've read. You just have to be ready to back it up." And that applies beyond just literature, right? Say whatever you want. Oh, express your opinion as much and as powerfully as you would like, but be ready for the person to say, "What do you mean they? What do you mean by that? We're to question you and not to put you on your back heels and make you defensive and get you heated. And on the contrary, if that's your reaction, then you're talking without much thinking. So that was one of the things she taught me. And being able to create anything, for example, in my case, something I love to do, which is writing, reading, and create meaning out of that, then like you get to own that, right? No, and you can back it up with, well, it says here in the text, well, when the character said this, and so that therefore implies, and so you back it up with that, you build confidence. You build confidence in yourself, in the way you think, in how you think, the depths to which you can think. That's really exciting. So these DYR quizzes, it's just to keep not keep them on their toes, just like, yo, it's an easy 6 or 7 points, or it's a 6 or 7 point deficit, right? Just do the freaking reading. And, the readings typically in the college level course that I teach, I mean, they're short. They're like 3 or 4 pages. The long ones are like 5, sometimes, 7 pages. They have a full week. Like, come on. Just I was a lazy reader, and I think it's only gotten worse, with phones and whatnot. But anyway, pretty early into this dynamic of, you're going to have a DYR on Wednesday, so do the reading. Um, and then usually it's just on a half a sheet of paper, and I collect them. And we swap them and we grade them. I go over the answers. It's usually pretty quick. 'Cause what was the girl's name? Sally. Where did she live? New York. What is her profession? She's a doctor. Yeah, it's just like basic. Did you read or not? And you get the full spectrum, right? You get the kids who get 7 out of 7, 6 out of 7, and then you get the zeros, the ones, the twos, the threes. And I ask all my kids if you are happy with your grade, please stand up. Obviously, the kids that got 6 or 7 out of 7, they stand. They're kind of sheepish and, looking around like, stand. You're proud of your score. Like, that's good. And then say, please sit down. And then I address the kids who didn't stand up. So, what's wrong with you? How, like, I'm confused. How are you not authentically, honestly, truthfully, how are you not happy, nay, proud of your score? And I'm the dumb one, right? Because who would be happy with a 1 out of 7? You failed with great desire. Um, like, but that was your intention, right? So that was your purpose. You should be happy that that's what you got, because that's the energy you put into the system, right? If you had a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or even a 4, you didn't read. So, because you're not crazy, you're not, delusional. What were you expecting? I do nothing on the input, but I get an A on the output? It it doesn't work that way. And we're all sane people here. So either you're delusional, at least momentarily, or you're kind of being a hypocrite because you're doing one thing, but expecting the opposite, right? I'm doing nothing, but I expect everything. I'm not reading, but I'm expecting an A. I'm not I'm not trying, but I deserve to be patted on the back and given a gold star and yay, I'm a winner. Yo, it doesn't work that way. So this is what I tell my kids, right? This is the lesson within the lesson. It's not, could you remember 7 basic things about the reading? You didn't do the reading. And so irrelevant are the answers. Let's right, you got a cut on the arm, it keeps bleeding, put another Band-Aid on it. Rip the Band-Aid on off and let's look at what's going on, right? You've got a bad attitude because you're not happy with the result. You're not happy with the product, right? What you subconsciously chose to be your purpose. I'm gonna fail the quiz. No normal, right-minded person goes, to school like, "I'm gonna fail this. Her, her, her." But you did it, and you know why, because 'cause you're smart enough to know why. So, I think it's a powerful lecture, exercise in in becoming aware of the alignment, right? So if the product, right, if the purpose of all this energy is not to fail, is not to get an F, is to get a 6 or a 7 out of 7, well, then let's backtrack. What do we need to do to make that happen? It's not rocket science. Literally, I draw 2 boxes on the board with an arrow and a line and an output arrow. So what goes in, right, moves around, and then we affect that energy, and then it comes out either the same, meaning there was no input, it comes out worse, absolutely no input, or it comes out better. The input was, I'm gonna first read it. And then I'm gonna create a cohort. I've got a group, and they're so proud of themselves, and I'm proud of them. I talked about the word cohort. They're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "It just means a group." It's what the it's a group usually of people that get together and study. That's the college word we use. Like, "Okay, cool, cohort." So they created a cohort. They all do their reading. They take notes, and then they get together. They get together and like, "What did you write? What do you think the theme is? What did you put down, for the basics, the level 1 stuff? What do you" and then they go to level 2. So, they're literally talking about the essay that they all read and shared now, their ideas, their input, no-brainer. They're stoked because they put in extra energy, right? Change the attitude to, "I hate reading. This is so stupid. Why do I have to do this?" To, "I wanna get a good score." I if I'm to believe Sperling that when he says, "Read this essay and really look for the stylistic traits, look at the punctuation, look at the length of the sentences and the paragraphs, and be aware of how that affects you as a reader," right? Because that is gonna parallel the meaning behind the message, the theme of the essay. So really take note of those things. Like, I am giving them intention. I'm giving them some perspective. Look for these things. That immediately triggers a different kind of attitude, right? I'm reading with purpose to find something, to discover something, to be a plus one. And so when they do that and then they share, you're like, "Yeah, me too, man. That was cool." Like, whoa, that group, that group consistently 7 out of 7, 8 out of 8, 10 out of 10, like they kill it every single time. They figured it out and it's not complex. But they have aligned, intentionally aligned their attitude with their perspective. to their purpose. It is an extremely powerful dynamic, applicable in every moment of our lives. Big picture, small, the details, the micro world of our day, the macro big plans in 5 years I'd like to it it's somewhat unaffected by time because the componentry is within you. So as long as you're alive and as long as you are moving forward in time, then it's going to work for you. So be aware of it. Attitude, right? Shifting it, renaming it, aligning it, therefore, and finding those things that support, that validate, that encourage, that foster that attitude that you want. For attitude, I don't know if I'm like here or here. I think it's like both, right? It's a mental thing, but it's an emotional thing. And those 2 are gonna drive you to the purpose, to your goal. That's how you get things done, man. That's how you plus 1 your day, your life. And it doesn't have to go in that order, right? You can choose an objective, you can choose a purpose. I wanna have a great day today. I wanna pass that exam. Um, I want to get into med school. I want to get a six pack, right? I mean, you can put the purpose at the front of the equation. Say, okay, well, how are you going to get there, right? What is the input need to be there for? If this is defined, I want to get all buff and healthy and six pack and whatever. So what do you need to do to make that happen? Well, you got to have discipline, right? You gotta not let yourself listen to the excuses. "Oh, it's I don't have enough time to work out. Oh, I'm always tired when I get home." And blah, 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 blah. Play the victim. But if you do that, then change your purpose. Don't lie to yourself. But if you do want that, I gotta get up. I get up at 5:42 every morning so I can work out about 30, 40 minutes every morning. Been doing it for a year and a half now. I was just done. I was done with feeling like crap, looking like crap. I weighed 200 pounds. I think it was like 201. Um, Now with everything that's happened, I'm at 165, but I'm an easy 170. That's like my high school weight. I mean, I'm feeling great once all my things kind of recover. I'm just to the side of the camera, right over there is my weight machine, and I'm hungry to get back to it, right? I love it. I love it. But I made a promise to myself, and that's that attitude. Attitude is the alarm, it says discipline. And there are countless days where I wake up and like, I just want to go to sleep. And it's like good that you wanna go back to sleep. Get your ass up. I swear to God, this is my conversation the second I wake up, and now I usually wake up before my alarm. I'm like, "Boom, I'm ready. Let's do it." My body is primed for that purpose, and that's what I look for. I look for my coffee. I look for if the weather is it sweatshirt or am I gonna work out in shorts. I look for my water, my electrolytes. I look for the workout that I want to do that day, and I find it, baby. I make that happen every that I start my day with that alignment just in that one activity, working out, discipline, being the key, I would say attitude. It ensures that everything's going to get done. So now I get a great workout. It's like at that point, go back into the kitchen. I'm ready to make my lunch, my breakfast, whatnot. My wife's like, how was it? It was great. It was great. So I am not that kid who's not standing up because they're bummed out that they got 1 out of 7. No, I'm that guy who, hell yeah, I got 7 out of 7 today, baby. It was a great workout. Like, my arms are just wasted today. Feels great. And that's how I'm gonna start my day? Please. You see what I'm saying? It that's exciting. So, be thinking about these concepts. Be thinking about how it really can connect and start with, something, uh, very tangible, something smaller, just to kinda get the feel of putting your attitude, your perspective, and your purpose all in line, and watch what happens. And watch that the more you do it, the more it just becomes the way of life for you. Fewer surprises, and even when you hit those speed bumps, you're just like, "Bloop. All right, man. I can get through this." Because we don't grow except when we deal with adversity. And that's another topic for another day. So until then, take care.